Okay, we're back. So what I'm gonna try to do right now is set up a fresh OSX environment. So you see, I set up this test environment, created a new user. It has admin privileges, just so I don't have to worry about permissions or anything weird with OSX because we're not trying to test our knowledge of the OSX operating system right now. We're trying to get our development environment set up so that way we can develop and create software with Django locally so we all can sort of work on things. We can uh, pull in the projects locally, and then we can push the code and have it deployed somewhere else. Um, Especially in the case with EC2, that I don't want you guys to have to necessarily buy a server or have a permanent EC2 instance running, because one way we could set up development is set up a server or have an EC2 instance just running as a server, and we could set up individual users on that Red Hat instance or whatever operating system we decide to use for that EC2 instance, and then people could theoretically have their own separate folders, their own development environments in those folders, and develop there. And that's actually a common practice, but that would cost money. So right now, I don't want to get into the nuts and bolts of that. I mean, with EC2, someone's just paying the per hour usage. And then if everyone's uploading, downloading, making changes on the server, that's going to slowly eat into the data usage as well. On the other side, we could have you just get a virtual private server, for $30 a month, or a dedicated server. But right now, I think it's more fruitful to learn how to set up a development environment locally. So we're going to start with Mac, and then uh, excuse me. After that, we're going to um, we'll set up a PC environment, and then finally we'll set up a actual Linux environment. And so you can see how to install the software, how to configure the software, and get yourself ready to actually start developing. I think that if you can just deal with the different operating systems, and you can get everything set up to that way you can echo out "Hello World" or you can start building. Um, I think that's a very hard part. Like I said in the previous video. So let's just go ahead and get to work. So I don't even have Chrome installed. I'm going to use Safari. Yuck. It's okay. So first thing, install Homebrew. And I think Homebrew, let me just guess, homebrew.sh. Let's see. Wrong. Homebrew. Install. Brew.sh. I was close. Okay. So just go to the Homebrew homepage. That's what it is. Brew.sh. Okay. What is Homebrew? So it's basically it's a package manager, as it says for OS X. What's a package manager? Um, I'm gonna actually do a whole video on package management, specifically for Red Hat Linux environment. But in a long story short, it's a package of installs for your computer. So basically, you don't have to install every single piece of software that something needs. You can just give this a command. It will check what version of what operating system you're using, what other packages are installed, and what packages you need in order to get whatever it is that you want installed. Um, Back in the day, there was something called Dependency Hell, which basically meant that if you wanted just to get, for instance, Perl running back in the day, or let's say what we're trying to get installed specifically is Python, Apache, you want to get some piece of software installed, you went to go install it, and then all of a sudden you would see a screen that says, "Uh-oh, you can't install this, uh, software, this programming language, this update, anything, install anything, because this piece of software needs 6 or 7 other pieces of software to run, and you either don't have them or they're not up to date." So then you would have to install each one of those. And then all of a sudden, you get another screen that says that each one of those pieces of packages or each software needed other software. And guess what? You would do it again and you would still get another screen. And it would go on for a little bit until you had every last package, every last software, binary, whatever, installed into your system, configuration, any piece of code, some type of executable, something. If you didn't have it all installed, you wouldn't be able to use that one piece of software you want to install. And it could go on like that for anything you installed. So they developed something called a package manager on depending what version of Linux you're using. It might be something apt get, yum, brew install, as we see here. Basically, they handle all that for you. So the softwares will come packaged up with all the different pieces of software and dependencies that you would need, and this would basically handle installing all the different packages that you might need by just giving it a few easy commands. So that was sort of a long-winded explanation of package management. I'm going to really sort of maybe go into more detail with it with another video. But right now, all you need to know is first we need to open up a terminal. Okay. I don't really like that. So let's default that. Okay. Bam. That's just better for me. I don't know. I like the matrix. So we are now on my MacBook Air. My test account. Where are we? We use the PWD account. We see that we're in my home directory. What's in this directory? You can see my trash, my history, my sessions, my desktop, this, downloads, documents, library, movies, pictures. So that's all good. What we're going to do, we're going to take this command. What does it say? Install Homebrew. Paste that at a terminal prompt. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, for Windows, they don't have Homebrew. You would install things differently. So we're going to do that. So we're just reading through what it says because it's good to read the terms and conditions. If you've ever seen that South Park episode, read the terms and conditions. Okay, so this is what it's going to install, and this is where it's installing it at. We use a local bin where our binaries are. I do not like that contextual menu. It's killing me. It's killing me, Smalls. Killing me, Smalls. Alright. Broham. I don't know what that's all about. Alright. The following directories will be made group writable. Okay. The following existing directories will have their owner set to test. Okay. So we're going to hit return. Man. That's not fun. Let's get this out of here. Maybe it's Safari. Sudo. So if you ever have permissions error, that means you need to be logged in as like the root user on the terminal. Go ahead, copy that in again. Say, do it no matter what. Don't run as root. Well, what the heck, man? Run this again. Permissions denied. Could not lock config file. Failed during get init. And so let's go Google. What you talking about, Willis? What you talking about, Willis? Hold up. Hold up. Okay, let's just keep it moving. So we're gonna copy and paste all this in. Normally, you want to know what it does, but we're just changing the group recursively to admin. Anything in this folder, that's what this R means. Recursively means go, keep going in till you reach an end, and then come back up. So just everything that's in there, make it onto the group of admin. Make it global writable or group writable. Own it to the group admin, and then make it this group writable. Everything in these folders. So let's go here. That's because we can run this with sudo. We gotta do each one at a time. Okay, sudo. Sudo means super user. Do this single command, or this whole shell mini the shell line. You could string these together and create a command. You could create a shell script. That's what shell scripts are, just a bunch of these things put together. And so that's basically how, for instance, you'd have a website comes in, you take a web request. Let's say we're using Django, Python starts processing whatever request, and say you need to save a file or retrieve a file or do something on the operating system. There is no direct connection with the web and the operating system, or you could use Python to maybe interact with the operating system at some level too, because it can do scripting things as well. But if, for instance, you're more comfortable with shell script, or there's some things that you can maybe only do with the shell script, then you use Python to call a script or a file that has a bunch of these things put together, a shell script to do some behind the scene things. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going. You saw how we ran into an error. We literally took the whole thing. You should know how to Google at this point, right? If you don't know how to do that, do that. Sometimes you just take the whole thing, you paste it in there. Sometimes you got to think a little bit and be clever. Use a thesaurus, or only cut off certain words in the sentence that you're looking for. I mean, you got to know how to search, and maybe I'll do a whole thing about like how I search, but you can sort of see how I'll do it as I do it. So, back to the message at hand. Perfection is perfected, so my man did understand. From a young G's perspective, before me dig on a script, I have to press return to accept it. Keeping it G-rated. Come on, keeping it on point. All right, reinstall. Let's get wget. Wget's a good one, just to say you can download something to your computer. You can download a file or whatever with wget. And it doesn't come already installed. Sweet. Okay, cool. Cool. Thank you, Stack Overflow. All right, what are we trying to install first? Python. What version of Python? Clear We'll clear the screen for me. For a young programmer, clear again, just brings it to the top. So now we can really have a matrix-like screen. Come on now, I'm Neo. I'm the one. I'm gonna free your mind. We're gonna do this, okay? Python version, young version, son. I'm gonna look up and see why it does that. I don't specifically know. Whatever, it works. 271.10. That's not gonna work. It's not gonna work for me. Python is not you, it's me. It's not. Let's see, Python install Homebrew. It doesn't really matter the order. Google's pretty smart. Google's very smart. How do I don't know how to do it on this one. Okay, it's all good. 2.7 is not the latest version. Great. We're on Homebrew's docs, so you know it's going to be good. Setup tools can be updated via Pip without having to rebuild Homebrew. No, that Pip means we already have it. We don't got it yet. So it's just like that. I gotta specify a version. Yo, let's check. Brew search. Python. All right. There's a Python 3. So brew install. And you can always just say the command. Unless it's like a custom command that you made or something. But for the most part, the convention is you just do the command without any flags or something after it, and it should just tell you. There's something called man pages or the manual pages. Maybe you can do man.brew, and then it just basically will pull up like the, I guess, README, and you can get a little bit more in depth. Q for quit. Get out of that screen. It's the little things, I'm telling you. I've been stuck in that screen for like 2 minutes before. I'd be like up and down, hitting everything on the screen, doing all types of crazy things. Q to quit. Great. Brew. Install. What does it say up here? It's okay to copy paste, No one's gonna say anything. Just watch what you copy and paste. Great, you see? Installing dependencies. You see these other things that it needed, or else this would not have worked. It could have worked. I mean, with the SQLite, that's not imperative because we're going to use something. We're going to use MySQL. SQLite is a file for a database, basically. It's a binary database. Well, it's a file for a database. It doesn't have like good locking and stuff like a full-fledged relational database, but it acts as if it were one. So it's really easy to set it up. They're good for, iOS apps. If they're not using dictionary, SQLite's good because it's small, and you can use SQL syntax to query and update and do all that good stuff. And you're the only one using it, so you don't have to worry about locking. Concurrency, locking meaning if you're updating a row and someone else wants to come update a row, like on a website, and two people are trying to update a wiki or do the same thing to the same piece of data, someone has to go first, and then that means it's locked and the other person can't do anything. This is a very basic, implementation of that. So that's the uses of locking, and you got to have something that, if you have something that can say who goes first, and if it's like a tie, what happens, and all. Locking is a very, in-depth thing, and that's something you should maybe just Google yourself and start going down that rabbit hole. It's especially important for languages like C, or typed languages, or languages where you have to deal with memory, especially. So it's not necessarily just the typing of it, but it's a language type language, meaning that when you create a variable, you have to say this variable is an integer, this variable is a string, whatever. Python's a non-type language, which means you can just put whatever in whatever variable. It makes for quick development at start, but later on, at enterprise scale, it's harder to catch bugs, and it becomes harder to scale it up. So I went on a long divergent path. What did it say? You can install Python packages with pip3 install Python. What things called Python do we have? Python. If I just do python.v, what does that do? 2.7 still. So exit. Clear. Python 3. No. 3. 2. Ooh. Let's do 3.5. That's perfect. We're set up. Great. Okay. It said pip 3, right? We got that pip 3.5 and that pip 3.6. Let's use pip 3.5 though. Install. We're going to need virtual env. Env, short for virtual environment. What is that? We don't want 3.6 either. Although 3.6 Mafia is dope. 3.5, what is that? Not 3.5, virtual env. Virtual env is virtual environment. So when you're developing in Python, basically you're gonna maybe like want to test out different modules, different packages, different other Python like apps and things to use, dependencies to use in your project, and it might not be something you want to install globally, or if you want to play with different versions of Python or whatever, by using a virtual env or virtual environment, it allows you to do that, in separated workspaces. And then you can essentially deactivate or log out of those workspaces in the command line, and then be back to your global sort of environment. So it's just a way to separate a lot of the Python things that you're working on, okay? So we already have it installed, it says. Great, but what we want to also install is virtual env wrapper, which makes it a little bit easier. We already have it, so we can do a pip 3.5 freeze and see what's installed. Remember, you could just do this, and it should tell you things you can use. And you see we're going to use the pip freeze. What is pip freeze? Output installed packages in requirements format. Great. Clear. 3.5. Freeze. Got it all. That's awesome. Now, we're going to need Apache. So thank you, Docs. Doc. Anyone like Back to the Future? I love that movie. Homebrew. Install Apache 2.4. 2.4. The most up-to-date Apache. I think Apache's already installed. Let's see, Apache. What can we do? So we already have it. HTTPD. Normally, if you pass it a V flag, it should tell you the version. See? Notice there's a difference between the lowercase v and the uppercase V. So we're getting into configuration. This is the pattern in the command line. When you say a command and you pass it a dash or a flag, there's also like a dash dash, like the flag ends up being a word. That's another convention, and when we see it, I'll point it out. But for now, or you do a dash flag and pass that flag something, space, continue on with whatever, depending on the command. So we're going to do lowercase v. Man, we already got 2.4 installed on this young version. Brew. List will tell us what we got installed. Yeah, this isn't fair because this has already kept some of the stuff that I had installed, but we're gonna sort of go through it anyways. This young system already installed, already set up. Sudo launch control unload Apache, and then break off the process so you're not left hanging. I don't need to do that. You can do that if you want to. It won't hurt anything. There's already Apache comes installed with OS X, but we want the 2.4. Brew search HTTPD 2.4. I thought that I could just do this. It already keeps all the things installed, so I just gotta sort of roll with the punches on this one. This is great. We'll deal with this later. Brew install Apache 2.4. I'm trying to show you how to do this. Let me show you how to do this, son. So brew tap. Tap is basically what it will tell us. No, because it's like. So these are just different places that will allow you to get packages. Okay? So you got to say tap the Apache. I already tapped that. But you go ahead and tap that. It's real good. It's real good. You'll be able to get Apache 2.4. Okay? And then, like it says, brew install. What does it say? After installing Apache HTTPD 2.2 or HTTPD 2.4. It's going to basically say the configuration files will be wherever this intro. So it's like this prefix is some type of configuration that starts this path, and then wherever this folder is at, then inside this folder you'll find an etc folder. You're gonna find Apache 2 and then 2.4, and same thing for this. Or 2.2 and this is 2.4. So brew install HTTPD 2.4 is what you would do. Okay, and we're gonna pretend. Oh, great! It's already installed. That's awesome. Brew install mod WSGI. So we have Apache installed. We have Python installed. Okay. In order to get Python to be able to talk to Apache, we need something called mod WSGI. Okay, it's already installed. Brew config. Brew info mod WSGI. mod WSGI. Not many matches. Great. So I ran into some errors. If you run into some errors, mod WSGI brew or Homebrew. Just gonna look at this real quick. Like essentially, if you see whatever errors you're gonna see, if you have a problem trying to get it running, which we're gonna see later, we're not gonna see the errors though, because I sort of got through it, and I was sort of wanted to go through it with you, but that's cool. You saw sort of how I did it. You just gotta look at the error, and I'm gonna show you where the errors will end up at. It's not gonna be. It might be this, but it was something like AXP or something. I don't remember what it was. And so I had to pass it a flag. Similar, so you see the dash dash, and now they're words instead of just like dash P. So that's the convention. I had to do brew install mod WSGI with some flags that were like that, but it was like without something. And what that did was basically installed it. So it installed the source code and then compiled it, which is what it does. But it did so passing the source code while it's being compiled. This flag to say don't look for a certain dependency. Don't look for this software. Don't turn this feature on when you're creating the executable of this software. So that's another thing that this sort of saves you from, that used to be sort of every day for a system administrator and configuring, or just someone configuring their computer, is they would have to install the actual source code and then compile and link it, which are to the two steps in creating something that you essentially double click. Like these are shortcuts, but they point to the executable, the binary that you then are running. Safari, I think this is probably written in C or something low level, that is all source code that gets compiled so you can actually run it. And once it's compiled, you can't change it. Okay, so that means if it was compiled to work with a certain system or have something installed, you can't do anything unless you have the source code take that little bit of code out, or the source code has a convention of receiving these flags to take the bit of code out for you. And so that's why it's important to know how to compile things as well, in the event it's like some software that isn't on Homebrew or something. But nowadays that's not gonna really be something you're gonna run across. So I can't seem to find exactly what I was running into. I'll look at it later, but basically you install mod WSGI. Okay, it's gonna, when you first do it without any of these flags, for many of you, some of you, hopefully none of you, but for many of you, for everyone it's going to install, and it's not going to be a problem. It's just going to be when we try to use mod WSGI, Python, and Apache, where it becomes a problem. So we need to go to user. What's in this folder? Local. What's in this folder? Let's check bin. Where did it say? Let's say, I think Etsy, right? Apache 2. before. I'm using tab to finish the autocomplete. Let's cd. Don't have to copy it. I have to copy it, so I don't have to see what's in here. Great. The Apache httpd.conf sublime. Can I do it here? No? No, I can't do it here. Let me try to OSX open folder from terminal. Open. Great. Makes life a little bit easier. Open up Sublime Text. Great. I really just could have done this though, which is what I'm gonna do. Can't stop me. Great. Great. This is the configuration file. Okay. Sometimes you're going to just see a configuration name, and then the value that it has. This is the server root. We're in server roots basically where the configuration errors and log files are kept. A lot of this is very well specified. Again, like I said in the last video, these are comments. Commenting means it's for the user and it's not to be read by the interpreter or anything. Okay. You see our last, when we set this up before, all these things are sort of there. Okay. It's great. Again, let me just go to a specific spot. This is how I have it configured from here on, down here. You have to tell it where your Python is. But in this case, I'm going to have to, that's not cool. I'm going to log, well, we can just do it from here. It's fine. Let's go to localhost and just see what happens. HTTPD services. What's running? Oh no, wrong. Brew services list. Everything stopped. Brew. Services. Does it just start? It should just be start. Let's just see. Let's see. Services start, I think. Great. Brew services list. Brew services start MySQL. You can figure out how to install MySQL. Just go to Google Homebrew, install MySQL. Do what it says. It's not that hard. You can test MySQL's running. MySQL. Show tables. No database. Show database. show databases. You see I got some stuff already installed. We can use cake blog. Great. Show tables. Great. Select. MySQL lists columns. Show columns. Show columns. Groups. Or groups. What's the syntax again? Okay, show column from. Describe groups. Select ID from groups. Nothing in there. There's nothing in the table. Select star from just, we're just showing you how to use it. No? Select star from posts. Select star from posts. Select title from posts. Right? Select count ID from posts. 4. So we're not going deep into SQL, but this is how you use SQL on the command line, and so you can sort of interact. You can insert into posts. Look at the insert. MySQL insert. Insert into posts. ID, or no, the ID is gonna generate for you automatically for you. It's auto increment. Insert title, body. The created and modified you should get for free. You might not, because this is relying on the framework to do it. So let's created, modified, values, title, set up, OSX dev, body. I am showing you how to set up this young system. I'm just being silly with the young. Created, say 2017, 04, 05, what else, what is it, 19, 30, like literally, 04. Following along, you see what I'm doing? I'm just doing a quick insert, man. I'm just showing you how to use MySQL really quick. Do that, semicolon. Select. We're gonna do up. Select. See, there's 5 now. Select. Count. Select all from posts. See? Did an insert. So that's cool. That's great. Clear brew services. Okay. So, clear. Do 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 do. Brew or no, Pip 3 point. Oh no, virtual. Okay, to use virtual unwrapper. It's not in this bash directory. Install. So what am I doing? Virtual unwrapper. You have to edit your bash profile file, which is basically the configuration file for your user for using the terminal, and you can save variables, or you can edit the path, so that way when I just start typing in, and in this case make virtual env, which is going to make a virtual environment for us, it will know about that and autocomplete it for me, because right now if I did it, it doesn't know about it. It doesn't know where this, it doesn't know where to look for that binary. So in order to do that, you have to basically add that to your bash file. So let's v home is that little tilde bash profile. What? We have to make a bash profile touch. Bash profile. And this is essentially a Linux administration right here. This is what we're doing. We're doing real things right here. Okay. In order to get into write mode in V, you do you press I. You can escape to get out of insert mode. That way you can move around, and there's nothing I can really. Well, I pressed I, but shit, it's cool. All right, that's cool. I need to learn more of the shortcuts because I could probably do this quicker. I'm not a vMaster, okay? I admit it. You do colon, so you have to hit shift, and then make a colon, write, quit, WQ. So basic, but so powerful. Just that little bit, knowing how to edit a file in the command line. That's next level stuff. Source. Just tell it to load this. Find name virtual wrapper sh. Rural. Let it search. There it is. Okay, we can just go ahead, Control C, stop the process, what it's doing. Let's go back. I can't see that. Come on now. Let's go back to here. Okay, you can move around, but I can't do anything until I say press the letter I, literally letter I, insert mode. Great. It's so awesome, bro. Nice Vim. Nice Vim move, bro. Nice. Yeah, still got to tell it source. Excuse me. Escape, colon, right quit. Great. Source. We can just do up, find the last commands we did. Virtual unwrap Python. Let's just get it set up. So we don't gotta fight. I'm just doing some clever tricks here. Okay. Apparently, this is what it wants. Let's go back into here. Insert mode. Press the letter I, literally. Now I can type into this. Go to the end of the line. I know there's a shortcut for it. I'm not worried about it right now. Great. Escape. Insert mode. Delete. Escape. Colon. Right quit. Source that. What's going on? Oh, you have to actually say the. I did say the binary name, man. Be sloppy. And blur 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 blur. You gotta say export. Clean it up. Escape. Colon. Right quit. Okay. See? Make virtual environment OS X setup. Could not find virtual env in your path. So now we have to which. Find name virtual env. See? You gotta make sure you have your permissions set up. It's got to be able to find it. So this is what I'm talking about the path. You have to follow the way, the path. There it is. Add to path terminal. Blah blah. Doesn't matter. Path equals current path. Just copy and paste. It's not a paste. No, we're gonna copy and paste this. Can I just go back to that? Okay. Nope. Yep. Insert. Update the path. added to. We're concatenating this to the end of the string. Concatenating meaning add. Make virtual env OSX setup. We got a source. This. Find virtual env. Google it. What would we do without Stack Overflow, huh? So they're telling me to make a symlink. We could do that. Okay. So it's not just library, but it's home, which hopefully is already specified at some level. We'll see. So my mistake was pointing to the actual file and not the directory. So it's like looking in this file. It should be a directory. So it should be in the path. I mean, that's a hurdy-dur, right? I should have already known that. We're just going to go through this anyways and overwrite what I did with the export. Great. Virtual env works. Make virtual env OSX setup. That's great. Having done that simple command, we are now in a virtual environment for Python called OSX setup. You can see that there. We can just do a pip. We can just do pip in Python. So if I do Python v, remember I did Python v before was 2.7. Now it's 3.5. Okay. So that's one of the advantages. It sort of simplifies the command, so I don't have to do 3.5 anymore, and I can just do pip instead of pip 3.5, pip freeze. So let's do pip install Django. Okay, it's installing right now. Great. So now let's do a pip freeze. Give me a second here, I'm sort of moving. See, Django 1.1 is installed. Oh, so much noise, but we'll make it through. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. That's great. Django is installed. Django admin. Oh, where are we? Now let's pwd. Apache, great. It's Apache started. Localhost. No. So that's the Hello World that I already sort of had installed. We're going to just go to the folder that I set up, but remember, we just point it to the folder. I could, change this to test and sort of create this folder and all that stuff. We already have one set up, so we can just go to users here, sites, Django admin, start. Django admin. We could just do this. Start project, one word. Clear Django admin. Start project. OSX setup. Sudo Django admin start project OSX setup. Okay, there it is. We can go to cd OSX setup, and there we go. So that's how we basically get to the beginning of the last video that I created, and then you can go through that to basically do a Django setup. Okay, so the next video, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up XAMPP in a Windows environment. That's it.